Algo fam, how we doing? How's it going, coin traders? Thanks for joining me for the show. It is now after October 1st, 2021, and we have seen the launch of the lockup period, or the enabling of commitment for staking rewards for governance, for community governance. So we're going to dive into the process a little bit, talk about some basic concepts, also be talking about this chart, and then also wanted to run by the new Algorand Virtual Machine that's just started as well. All great things for the future of Algorand, just like everything pretty much. So got a lot to cover today for Algorand, ALGO on that ticker. If you're ready to dive on into our favorite algo, you know what to do. Smash that free like button. Let's all go. So taking a look at governance first, pretty basic way. You can just go to Google and type in Algorand governance, and it will be the first link right here, algorand.foundation/governance. So this will be the web page that you should expect to see when you do pull that up. And then just come down here, be a governor, sign up as a governor. And then you will be redirected to the actual governance site. There are ways to connect a wallet up here on the right and then select your wallet. We'll go through that in a second. Right now, we're looking at 162 million algo locked up so far, with a total of 17,500 governors. It is kind of cool that you can actually come up here on the status and actually look at, for example, underfunded, and it'll show you all of the wallets and governance that are actually not eligible anymore for governance rewards. 50,000 algo, big one. Anyway, so it's kind of cool to have a little bit of a explorer, so to speak. So yeah, again, make sure you're extremely familiarized with this page. If you do want to go ahead and bookmark it, or make sure you're going to the right page, the website or the URL is going to be governance.algorand.foundation. And it's going to be important to know too, because it will have things like voting sessions, so it will show upcoming as well as the dates for when you actually need to have your votes in and how to actually vote. Now, in future videos, I probably will be covering some of the different votes and things, and pretty much my opinions on all of them, and probably how I'm going to be voting as well, just to kind of clarify for a lot of people if you do want a little bit more insight as to why I'm actually expecting a certain thing, and kind of why I would prefer one over the other. And then also we'll go over how to actually cast your vote as well. So going to do a quick walkthrough right now of how to actually get signed up, specifically with the My Algorand wallet. Now, I'm sure the process is the same with the My Algo wallet or any of the signers, but essentially there's two different ways. They all are the same. You can either come up here on the right, connect wallet, and then select your wallet, or you can also come down here on the participate in Algorand governance, click on get started, and then select your wallet as well. So in my case, I am going to be using the Algorand wallet. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to have a QR code. Now, inside the application, you're going to actually have to go to your main screen. On the very bottom right, for the Algorand wallet anyway, there's like a little hexagon with a dot inside of it. If you click on that, you will be brought up to a menu for your settings. And then from there, you're going to go to the third one down that says Wallet Connect Sessions. And then once you're inside Wallet Connect Sessions, you're going to go to the upper right-hand corner. There's going to be a little sign for a QR code scanner. Tap on that, and the camera will come up to scan that QR code. Once you actually scan that QR code, you will be connecting, or you actually have to allow permissions to connect your wallet to the application as well. And then once you do, in that instance, you will see select an account. You can see right now I do have my whopping account with a whole 24, almost 25 algo. Go me. I'm going to click use that one. And then now at the bottom here, you can see that my wallet is connected. I have the option to disconnect it as well. But right now we do have the option to come down and click commit algos. So make sure that you don't click max here, because you will have to actually leave some for transaction fees. So I would recommend doing slightly less. So let's, for example, click on 20. So if I do want to go on 20, I can just click commit algo, commit those algos. And from here, you will actually have to go back into your application or your wallet and allow, basically it's going to provide a transaction request, and you're going to have to click confirm. This is going to send that transaction into the governance program, and you will have to fully click accept in order to actually sign up for that. Once that transaction has gone through and been processed by the network, you will see that you will have committed your algos and you are successfully inside the governance program. From there, pretty simple, just click close and you will see that you're now on your overall status as long as this wallet is connected. So every time you do connect your wallet, you will be able to see your overall status. Also, it's very nice that you come in here and they will actually show you your different voting sessions that do need to be completed. And again, those will be inside the main page. So just simply click on it and then you will be provided your options Now, for this specific one for the first period, it's not going to be available until after we actually have the close for the sign-up period. But just know that this is where you're actually going to be doing all of your voting. And again, it'll provide you the same options to make your vote, and then you will have to sync it up and actually confirm that through your wallet as well. So after the close of the sign-up period on October 15th, we are going to get the final numbers, and it's going to be interesting because whatever we see after the sign-up period closes on October 15th is actually going to be the worst case scenario, because we do know that a lot of governors, just like we were looking at, might be underfunded, they might not participate in the governance voting, and then they won't actually be eligible for a lot of the rewards. So effectively, we know that whatever's put out on October 15th or after that, that's going to be at a minimum of what your rewards are actually going to be. Now, I do actually want to take a second and talk about a retweet that I made from JT Invest in You. So good on him for the initial tweet pointing this out. But basically, we need to make sure that the sign-up page is not going to be a phishing page. So basically, only go through the link, and kind of like I demonstrated in the beginning, you can even Google it, but never click on a link unless it's the actual governance.algorand.foundation link. Because if you are connecting your wallet, there is the potential that someone could actually take your keys and ultimately have access to a lot of your cryptos if you do provide that type of access. So make sure that you aren't accessing a fake Algorand governance sign-up page, and just make sure you do your due diligence to access it the proper way. Nothing would be worse than having someone else have access to your crypto and then send an irreversible transaction. So again, you do have through October 15th to sign up, but did want to point out that there's no requirement or no benefit to signing up early versus later. Now, you can update your staking amount either higher or lower than what you initially pledged, as long as that final amount is locked in before the 15th. However, personally, I'm going to choose to wait for the majority of my Algorand, besides that small wallet that I connected, because the reason and logic behind this is I have 2 extra weeks now to acquire those participation rewards, to which then I can use in my lockup period. Now, do need to point out that part of lockup period, you will be getting participation rewards, which are your normal staking rewards, as well as governance rewards, assuming that your wallet stays at the given balance that you commit, as well as you participate in all of the votes. But because we actually have 2 more weeks to the end of lockup, or the commitment period rather, it seems beneficial if you do want to wait. You'll actually have a little bit more algo if you do want to actually participate and pledge and stake those in the initial commitment period. If you do have any questions, disagreements, or issues on this, just let me know in the comments section below, or reach out over on Twitter as well. So now, since we are starting to get a little bit more lockup with Algo, we are expecting a little bit of a supply shock as the numbers start to increase, but we know that probably this initial governance period isn't going to be the most amount of Algo that is going to be locked up, so we're not going to see as much of a supply shock as maybe we will into the middle part of next year, for example. But given that a lot of algos are going to be pledged, we are going to see more supply shock, creating a lot more of that shortage of supply, hopefully leading to higher demand as well with governance, which ideally is going to have a huge bullish impact on this chart. Another bullish thing for Algorand, like usual, since there's so many good things coming out for Algorand, especially development side, we do have the release of the Algorand Virtual Machine, or the AVM. And specifically, this is going to be of extreme benefit to decentralized finance, but it's also going to be of benefit to smart contracts in general. So with regard to the Algorand Virtual Machine, in my opinion anyway, the biggest TLDR, or too long didn't read version, is that AVM, or Algorand Virtual Machine, is improving smart contract development and ensuring developers have the functionality needed to create powerful dApps while making blockchain application development more accessible to the wider developer community. And so in addition, we can also see some examples of use cases that AVM is going to actually be beneficial for with regard to smart contracts. So bond issuance, escrows, limit order subscription, collateralized obligations, yada, 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 a bunch of different stuff, crowdfunding, decentralized exchanges. So hopefully you get the picture a little bit of some of the benefits to the overall development and growth that the new AVM, or Algorand Virtual Machine, is going to be able to be capable of. And so just to highlight again, smart contracts powered by AVM enable the disruption of economies and the creation of new business models across different industries with efficient and automated transactions and applications, allowing for a trustless execution of an agreement. So this really is the type of news that we love to see. And although partnership announcements are great as well, we love to see different upgrades and improvements that are going to make developing and utilizing Algorand a lot better and improve the overall use case scenarios. So diving into this chart now to check out some analysis, and if you have been following over on Twitter, we've been talking about how the 155 has just been extremely strong as support every time we have seen prices dip below this level or dip around to it. We've seen a lot of buying from the bulls, pushing prices back up, And as such, that's why we actually have this extremely strong and supportive channel that we're looking at, and hopefully we can continue to maintain a lot of bullish pressure on top of it, since we are closing this weekly chart in a little over 1 day. So hopefully we can continue bullish upside pressure, see a little bit more follow through, and even if we don't immediately knock out a new trend high, being able to see a consolidation and a lower high and then a higher low on top of this level is going to be extremely strong, kind of like what we saw previously from February back until May. And I'm not necessarily expecting that to happen again with regard to this overall pattern just being a repeat, but definitely having a super strong supportive zone, kind of like what we had back during that time, right above the $1 psychological on this weekly chart. So hopefully we would love to see that maintain on top of about the 175 all the way up to about the 177. That's the current level of closing support right now anyway that we're gonna be needing to look at on this weekly. But there is such a huge buffer and this zone is so big that there's still a ton of support happening in this overall zone. And it just seems not as likely of a scenario right now to be able to see prices continue to pull back, especially since we are starting to see a lot more upside movement on the rest of the crypto space. So definitely an extremely good sign that a lot of these lower wicks are also upper wicks on the previous weekly candles. So this whole zone is just so resistive and now supportive, which is exactly what we want to see because we love backtesting previous resistances as new supports. Pulling up volume here on this weekly chart, I want to talk about the last 2 bearish weeks that we saw decreasing at bearish volume, which we actually haven't seen on the previous period from February up until May. So on all these times, we had increasing bearish volume on all of these pullbacks, which we actually saw 3 times. So run up, increasing bearish volume on this pullback, run up, increasing bearish volume on the pullback, and on this time as well down to the May bottom. So that's one of the great things about this current bearish pattern setup that we see, because we know that typically we do get 2 weeks of pullback after a very nice pump to the upside. But the difference right now is that we are seeing a decline in that selling pressure. So we are seeing a little bit of selling exhaustion, which means it'll be a lot easier for the bulls to come in and actually shoot up the price. And like we said, even if we don't send in a new trend high, we'd still be likely looking at a lower high pulling back, establishing a higher low. Moving back into the daily chart now, a lot of good things to look at. One of the ones being that we are setting a new price high compared to previously when we were looking at a high of 185.92. So we are setting a new higher high, which is a good sign. So now even at a worst case pullback, set a higher low is the likely scenario. And it's extremely good too that we have been defending a big level of support, especially on top of this 50 period EMA. Because if we zoom out, we've actually seen the 50 period EMA be extremely supportive and resistive. So we saw a test of support, test of closing support, closing resistance, and then even looking back, a lot of closing resistance. So the 50 period right now is extremely relevant, and it's a very good sign right now that we're getting this air gap and a lot of support on top of it. So in addition to that, we are now setting with a close and a little bit of follow through on top of the 12 period as well. Hopefully over the next 24 hours or so, we can get continued upside and actually have a little bit more follow through, making it a lot more likely that we'll pull back and actually see confirmation of support on top of the 12 and also the 26 EMAs. Like we said though, looking at volume, we've been seeing a complete decrease in volume. So since we haven't gotten much selling pressure, likely we're going to assume that this extremely strong floor is going to be very supportive, and price level for that we did put on top of 155. And so we are looking at a price level right now on top of the 155 level for that closing support. If we do want to look at this level as closing support, we're effectively making this double bottom or a W-shaped pattern. So we see 1 test and 2 tests, and now hopefully seeing the next run up push to the trend high. However, looking up overhead, the 190 is going to be extremely resistive, as well as the $2 psychological. Looking left previously, big levels of support, and then big levels of support. So these 2 price levels are going to be extremely resistive, but I'm confident in the bulls that once we pull up, pull back, set a higher low, and then break those levels, and then that'll be an extremely bullish setup, and I think that is pretty much what's most likely right now. Looking at the VPVR, another indication of this, since we do see a big point of massive volume is coming in right at 203. So another reason to think that we could see a little bit more upside against the pressure of this level. See bears step in, pull back, confirm previous resistances now as supports, set that higher low, and then be up to test this level again. So again, this is just another piece of data that we are looking at that kind of lets us think that that's a plausible and likely scenario at this point. Looking at some technical indicators on the day, we are looking at the RSI on top, still a good sign, and we're seeing a little bit of upside direction, which means we have plenty of room to grow to the upside without actually getting into this overextended level above the 70. But then we know that we can run for a little bit too, inside the 70 up to the 80 and potentially the 90, because it has been something that we've seen before, for example, back previously when we were looking in February. So plenty of room to grow, which would allow the price to continue to shoot up to a new trend high, Additionally, at the bottom, we're looking at the stochastic RSI. So since we are seeing a little bit of that double bottom on the stochastic RSI as well, and we are seeing upside pressure, higher lows on the stochastic RSI as well. So we are getting a little bit more upside pressure from the stochastic RSI. So that does highlight that we are again experiencing a little bit of seller's exhaustion, and we're going to see the bull step in. And we are starting to see a little bit more lockup in Algorand for governance rewards. So that's just going to be one extra thing to put in the positive side and the bullish category for a little bit more of that upside pressure. So definitely a lot of great things, as always, coming down the line for Algorand, both in terms of fundamentals, this chart setup, technical analysis, all that and more. That is going to go ahead and wrap up the show today on governance rewards and Algorand. Hopefully you enjoyed the show today, and if you did, please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button if you haven't done so just yet. Also, make sure to post your questions, comments, issues, disagreements, all that stuff below, whether it be about governance rewards or about the chart setup, all that and more. Love getting back to each and every one of you about all your questions and concerns. Thanks again for all the continued love and support. As always, definitely means so much. Stay safe, take care, everyone, and I'll catch you back in the next video.